Good. It's time for the Q&A, so let's please welcome back Director Jeff Orlovsky.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Jeff, the Extreme Eyes Survey project started in 2007, from what I understand. At what point did you actually, join in and started working on the documentary?
Yeah, so I had met James in about 2006, right before the project was getting started, and I just wanted to work with him as a photographer and just be involved in anything he was working on. And when this project was first getting launched, and he was preparing the first trip to Iceland, the friend of mine who introduced me to James, he just kind of helped facilitate that, and I ended up going on the very first trip to Iceland with him in 2007. And I was shooting video. We didn't have any plan to make any movies. We didn't have a plan for anything really in terms of what the video would end up being, and we just knew we needed to document it. We knew that this was something unique and special going on, and it was worth capturing. So I went with James to Iceland in 2007. I then followed him to Greenland and then Alaska, and just kind of kept following him. And it was about a year and a half into the project before we decided that we were going to make a movie and make a feature film out of it. It was really because the time lapses were coming in, and they were really showing remarkable change, more so than we were expecting. And with that much just kind of coverage of the glaciers, and with the video footage that we had already shot, we knew that we had enough material to make a film out of it. And so that's what made us move forward with that. One other thing to add to that, at the beginning, the film was called The Photographer. I thought it was going to be a movie more about James's his past work, his entire body of work, and how the Extreme Eyes Survey fit into that film, into that story of James's. Inconvenient Truth had just come out. There were so many other films in the climate change space. We didn't think that we could do something that was really unique about climate change, so I wanted to make a film about the photographer. And over time, as the evidence was coming in, and as the scientists were talking so concretely and so confidently about what was going on with the ice, and as the time lapses got stronger and stronger, we realized we needed to switch the focus of the film. So we did a major structural overhaul to the film and spent a couple more years editing the movie, and then ultimately this is what we have.
I'm sure there's plenty of questions, so I'm going to get started with you guys. Yes? So the documentary clearly has a very important message. What are your plans for the documentary after HotDocs?
Yeah, for us, we really want to get the film out there as much as possible. That is 100% the goal. I'm sort of wearing the hat both as a filmmaker, and I guess I've become an activist in the same sense. We really want the film to get out there and to have influence, have impact. In the United States, only 36% of Americans recognize that climate change is happening and that it's man-made. It's kind of deplorable, it's kind of disheartening. But that's our goal to some degree, is to take that number and try and shift that if we can, to have influence over perception, and to get the average American to recognize that this is something that's happening. It's something that we caused, and it's something that we can fix as well. So that's some of the the big picture goal and vision for what we want to accomplish. We're doing that through educational screenings, through outreach. We want to go out to as many churches as we can. Go out to places that wouldn't necessarily see the film by default, wouldn't naturally find the film. We don't want to just preach to the choir on this. We want it to be used as a tool to influence change in opinion.
Yeah, you half answered my question.
So what are the logistics and costs of getting this film getting the film out to churches? We just have to, so everybody read it. So to getting the film out to churches, et cetera, et cetera.
It's a great question. To answer your second question first, I guess, we have partnered with Films We Like here in Canada, so we will be distributing the film theatrically in Canada. And we've also partnered with National Geographic, who's going to be doing the television distribution, both domestic and international. So it will be on television out here through Nat Geo and in theaters here in Canada. In terms of the cost for getting it out there, that's something that we're actively fundraising for right now. It's something that, when we started off making the film and we were building the budget for the movie, that we didn't calculate into that the need for the outreach campaign that would go hand in hand with the film. One of the things that we'll be launching fairly soon, we're releasing the film in November in the States, and one of the things that we're going to do to lead up to it is a Kickstarter campaign to tie into, help us build a team to do all the outreach, to get the film out there, to just manage volunteers, things like that. So we haven't explicitly stated a number in terms of what we think that will cost to do all of that outreach, but that's something that we're building for right now. So along those lines, you can follow the film on Facebook or on Twitter, or just going to our website, ChasingIce.com. and there are ways that you'll be able to keep in touch with what we're doing as we have more updates to share.
Will you be putting out a DVD that we can purchase?
Definitely.
Will you be putting out a DVD that we can purchase?
So we'll be doing that for sure, and that's going to follow the release of the film. And we've been getting a lot of questions too about follow-ups to the film. The time lapses are in fact continuing. James is continuing to shoot this imagery as long as possible, as long as the funding will support. And we are shooting a little bit of additional material, and that might make its way onto a DVD extra or onto the website as well. We're going to be building an iPad app. But we're really looking at the DVD as being a key tool that people can use to share it with their skeptic friends and use it to, use the film as a tool for that purpose.
Yes, there's another question.
Has Fox TV?
They have not
Has Fox TV interviewed James or covered his work?
That has not yet happened, and it's something where I want to screen the film to those audiences. I want to see what their feedback is. I'd love to film their response to Chasing Us. That'll make its way onto the DVD too. But it's something where just trying to be strategic about it. We've been waiting until the release of the film before we kind of pursue some of those opportunities. It's something that we'll hold off until the fall or so before we engage with some of that. But we've been along similar lines, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. People are always ask us about getting the film in front of Congress, getting it in front of politicians. Just last week we screened at Sundance, London, and Robert Redford made a commitment to us to try and bring the film out and get it in front of Congress through some of his friends and his network available to him. So we want to do that. We want to pursue that at the highest level possible. We're aiming to get a copy of the film to President Obama as well, which we have some friends who have been trying to facilitate. So we want the film to have impact on both the political, legislative level, but also the grassroots, word of mouth level. The question was why no cameras in Canada, and it's something that he actually did install some cameras in British Columbia. I never went there. I never filmed any of that. They were there for a short period of time, and I don't know exactly what happened to them. I think there were some technical difficulties with those cameras specifically, so we didn't include it in the kind of the aerial map just because they didn't really turn into that much visually. I do understand that he's been talking with somebody about installing more cameras in Canada, but I need to ask him about that.
Yes. There's a question back there. So what is it like being there and seeing all the ice firsthand?
I think the thing for me, the most special part of this whole experience is that we were able to witness what we saw and bring it back and share it. When Adam and I were filming the big calving event, I think the most kind of startling emotion during that whole experience was the fact that we were the only two people observing it. It was literally like, can you believe we're seeing this? And fortunately, we had all the cameras there with us. That was part of the plan. But it was really just feeling a sense of being special and being privileged enough to have access to this story that we were able to capture and bring back to our friends and family and share it with the rest of the world.
Yes. How can he, a young man of not much money, make a difference?
Sir, it's a tough question, right? And the reason why climate change is stuck in this quagmire that it's in right now is because it's a complicated problem that has a lot of solutions that are necessary that we need to move forward on. It's something that we get asked a lot as well, and we're trying to figure out what role we play and how we provide platforms to people for them to make a difference. Right now on the Extreme Ice Survey website, there are lists of things that individuals can do, and it's something that we'll be adding onto the Chasing Ice website and provide action items for everybody. The reality is, the short answer is I think there are things that everybody needs to be aware of in their daily life, and small things that people can be doing in their daily life. But then there's also the need to influence other people and influence our politicians. And we kind of write off, at least in America, we write off the idea of writing to your senator. It's something where you think, you write that letter and it disappears into the ether, and there's no feedback, there's no response, and there's no impact that comes from it. But I think what we need to collectively do is bring our voices together and express to our governments that this is something that we really care about, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. And this is something that we have a responsibility to act on. So ultimately, in my mind, the simple answer for you is shifting perception. That's what we want to accomplish. And as an individual, I think that's where people can have the biggest impact, whether it's having the debate with some skeptic that or whether it's reprimanding some restaurant for using disposable products, or it's trying to change patterns in your own life. I think there are an infinite number of things that people can do, and there's creative people can make up new ways to do something about climate change. I think that's the thing that I've learned the most from James, is that he figured out a way to use his skills and his tools that he had available to him to do something about this issue. And I would challenge everybody in this room that everybody here has some skill that they know how to utilize that you can do to make a difference in this issue. So ultimately I would say, it's those two messages. It's everybody doing what they can and what they have available to them, and for the means of shifting perception.
Jeff, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.